Wear a wig? What are you talking about, bro? Yeah, Scale, I'm not too sure about that. Maybe I'll get some nice blonde extensions. Ryan, I'm jealous. I forgot about the USA game. Does that make me unpatriotic? Doing well, Amin. How are you doing? Alrighty. A couple minutes late here, so may as well get started. I know in the past we've occasionally done a live stream ahead of a video drop. Today, not dropping any videos, but did want to take a few minutes. One of the mods reached out from our Rocket League a couple weeks ago to set up and ask me anything with the actual subreddit. I'm expecting it's mostly like one-off questions about the build and Project Fennec, but who knows? I imagine there's going to be some "Would you have for dinner last night?" questions in here, or something like that. Which I won't remember. I have no idea. I'm gonna have to think about that one. But this should be interesting because the AMA, I'm actually responding on Reddit. I'm gonna be watching chat here too. Hopefully we'll have some good dialogues kind of stem from the questions here and also carry over on stream. But in order to sit here and not just watch y'all watch me type responses on Reddit, I've got a key here to basically just take whatever I'm saying here on stream and fill it in on the Reddit response. So we're gonna give that a go. I tested it once or twice and it seemed like it was working, but there's a first for everything. So I haven't cheated. I haven't looked at any of the comments, anything on here yet. I have no idea where the discussion's gonna go. So hopefully it's just organic as it gets. I've also never done an AMA anymore, so I'm assuming I hit start AMA and that's it. Okay, it just switched to say live. That's, I guess here we are. Alrighty, so I was definitely mean mugging in this photo here. It was hot out. I was staring straight into the sun, but it's, you know, most up-to-date photo I have of the Octane. We're going to get started here. I'm not going to read the mod post. That's question number 1. Let's see. Hey man, love the Octane. Have you got any plans to make other Rocket League cars into real drivable ones? Also, what's the inspiration behind the name? Okay. I know this is a hot one for everyone. I would say definitely have a plan to make another real drivable one. I think there's some constraints there, mainly financial and kind of general timeline. We definitely had in Boston, at least the votes that we did with chat in the arena, Project Fennec was by far the biggest ask. So that is what we've started looking into. And I've got some good plans, a lot of good ideas. And I think we're probably 30 to 45 days away from actually announcing the start of that. As far as other cars go, I really feel like I just take these things one at a time, being just the solo, DIY my garage that this is. But really have to kind of wait and see if there's anything beyond that. Part of me thinks a production version of either the Octane or the Fennec actually would be something really cool to look at in the future, instead of just necessarily continued one-offs. But that's a much bigger discussion. As far as the inspiration behind the name, what do they call it when initials for one thing represent something else? And my initials are MD, and in the basement of my house growing up, my dad had a Green Day Dookie album, and so that got me my last initial, and I just wordsmithed Mega into being the best possible combination there. All right, is it just me, or when I was kind of watching some of this, the punctuation that it was auto putting in was like every 3 words. I think it's because I pause so much when I talk, but it looks like I might have cleaned up most of it. And Cheese Man, yes, there's definitely, you got your 1v1s for EU happening right now. We're in the dead middle of that stream. I had it pulled up on my other tab here earlier as well. Was watching Zen Style and some folks. I don't know who is playing in these Group B matches. I'll have to catch up some later. Oh god, yeah, I do have to touch up some of this punctuation. Sorry, y'all, give me 1 second here. Yeah, we're gonna turn auto punctuation off. Yeah, and the delay absolutely yeah, a little bit. I did have to toggle off the let Windows use my voice to help train AI with using this feature. I was like, that's gonna be like the worst AI ever, but no, I don't want that being stored anywhere anyways. Oh gosh, yeah, we are going to correct this one message, and then we are not going to have punctuation for the rest. Yeah, oh my god. It's like, just because I pause speaking for a second, it just freaks out. It's like, new sentence, new sentence. Christ. All right, fail for this first one, but we will get it right moving forward. Alrighty. Take two. Gotta forgive me a little bit, y'all. We'll try this again. Did I use any pre-existing parts from other cars? I know a lot of people build kits, or people kit build with air-cooled Beetle frames. I'm curious as to what was the baseline for my work. I don't think you did, as all the looks fabricated from the start. I heard about it, but never followed too closely. I'm curious on the design process. Was the fiberglass outsourced? Did you make the parts yourself, or were you able to source your needs, design to someone else? I'm guessing the DOT won't make this road legal. Actually, more on this to come. Has to be tailored to needed spots. What education do you have or need to learn in order to blueprint such a vehicle, especially its geometry? Also, if you did source your materials or had third-party companies fabricate control arms, axle, sway bar links, and steering columns, do you have any reference to those companies, as I plan on building an F1 car similar? It's got a V6 dropping in. Want something reliable for the parts that it needs. This guy's touched on some of the items here, but I'm still going to answer it. Oh, hang on. Yeah, so really the only parts that are from pre-existing cars are the suspension. So your A-arms, the knuckles, brakes, wheels, and tires. I didn't have it in me to really want to design and manufacture control arms myself. I've done that before, and I was more interested in being able to pull parts for that purpose, at least, and then fabricate the frame to fit. And so the front suspension is actually from a 2007 Ford Explorer, while the rear is from a 2005 Ford F-150. I happen to drive an F-150. Hang on, I gotta make one correction there. Is from the front of a four-wheel drive. There we go. And so that made it a lot easier for me to actually reverse engineer what I already had and go from there. I didn't outsource any of the design work. That was just entirely on my own in SolidWorks. I'm a CAD junkie and a mechanical engineer full-time, and so the build is fun, but part of it's also like just doing the CAD work is a lot of fun too. It's a lot more forgiving than things going wrong as you're actually building things. But it's something I enjoy putting a lot of hours into. Try and get things right or designed for manufacture ahead of time. Let's see what else we had here. And the bodywork is all 3D printed. It actually isn't fiberglass. There's a little bit of fiberglass reinforcement. And in the future, if I was doing bodywork again, it would definitely be fiberglass using probably 3D printed molds. But at least for this one-off, just doing the prints was just fine. As far as actually getting it street legal, there is a process here in North Carolina where I'm at for it. And I actually do have a VIN issued for it. It still isn't going to be 100% road legal. But that's more so with how I filed some of the paperwork. There actually is an avenue for it being 100% street legal, but at least for this build, that's just not going to be the case. and I'll expand on that some for y'all here in chat on as well. I actually did have a state trooper come over to my house to do a vehicle inspection as part of the process of actually getting it street legal. It's probably more details than Reddit needs to hear. But kind of a wild process. They have to come and make sure that when you're trying to register a vehicle that doesn't have a VIN or any history, that you didn't just steal something and apply for a new VIN. So I had a trooper actually come out to the house and look at it and go like, the heck is this thing? But luckily, people do some weird things, so it's not the craziest. And it was honestly a fairly smooth process. As far as the education needed to build something like this, I feel like it's not right to say that you actually need an engineering degree for something like this, because there are plenty of car builders out there who don't. They just have all the fabrication skills. And if you're using suspension from something else, then you can kind of rely on that engineering that's already been done. But there's also a ton of resources out there for actually understanding suspension geometry and how to make different adjustments, based on the performance of the vehicle. If you're making something like an F1 car, it really depends, I guess, on... Let me fill that there. I hate to say that like everything can be learned on YouTube these days, but I feel like that's a pretty true statement. The trooper did not play Rocket League. He just kind of, I didn't have the heart to tell him. Like I was like, oh, if your kids played like Rocket League or Fortnite, they would recognize this. And it's like, I don't know. I had an old guy at one point come up to me like, oh, so this is like a kid's thing, right? I'm like, I just turned 30. Like, is it a kid's thing? I'm going to start working birthday parties with the Octane in my spare time to make some money, I think. And we're missing an acronym here. In my case, I will add that I had a lot of friends that helped with this that had different expertise that complemented what I needed. I can't weld for crap. I don't have a mill or a lathe in my garage to machine parts. So you do have to kind of have a network of resources and people that you can rely on. Otherwise, it just gets that much more challenging. This Dominixter, I don't know if he's here, but I think he might watch a lot of the videos. Because, that's a pretty true straight statement for pretty much all of that. Will I be getting a special flare in-game Project Octane owner? I really wish that was the case. I think that would be really cool to actually have something formally in-game. I remember back when they added like the creator flags for the first time, and you can actually rep like John Sandman or whoever else. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Could rep your favorite creator. I think that's just a really cool feature. I know they've been doing a lot of, I guess, free titles for all players. I would love to, if that was a thing, that maybe it costs $1, but we could put all of that money towards Project Fennec or a different production level Rocket League vehicle. But have to wait and see, really. Why is that capitalized? I mean, your question about the Fennec, will be easier to get a base body and attach some 3D printed parts to shape like the Fennec, or build it from zero at this point. I do think building it from zero is actually going to be better still. You could say that a Lancia Delta Integrale is like the closest thing to a Fennec, but good luck getting your hands on any of that. Or maybe there's a GrabCAD file out there that someone scanned the body, and I don't know. I'm gonna look into it. I think it's something worth considering. I just have a feeling that it's not gonna work out, because the way things go, they just never seem to work out in your favor, right? There's always something that's proportionally doesn't work out, or by the time you end up converting a 500,000 triangle scan file into actual smooth geometry, it's like I could have just modeled that and had it the way I wanted it from the start. So I am looking at it at least through that lens currently, but it's a little too early to kind of truly decide. First Cut Piano, welcome to chat. Love the work, by the way. Thank you, sir. Are you rich with an expensive hobby, or are you quite average but you're passionate about your hobby and it's worth spending all your money on? I would not call myself rich, no. And to be honest, the project wouldn't have even ever started, I don't think, had we not done a GoFundMe through this subreddit. I think we raised close to 20K. That being said, that amount of money is still not nearly enough as what's needed to actually build a complete vehicle from scratch, as I've found out the hard way. So I was putting a significant amount of money in a month for like the last 2.5 years that otherwise probably should have been going into savings. It did kind of at one point come to like a realization of like, I'm really close to the end here and I kind of just need to squeeze through, because long term I can't afford to keep doing that level of investment on a monthly basis. Gosh, on a monthly basis. Through a couple of the events that we've done with Gen G and Epic, it has helped provide a little bit of assistance there in helping me continue to get to this kind of finishing point that we're very quickly coming up on. But if there was anything more in the future, I'm definitely gonna have to look at that sponsorship side of things a little bit more. Let's make sure I don't insult Genji Esports by calling them a completely different name. I don't know my conversion rate in, is it 100 credits is $1? Let me get my calculator out. Yeah. In credits. For parts and materials. I don't know if that's a big number. It's a big number of in-game credits. Did I get that right? My decimals by 100. That's about 30k. 30k parts and materials. Not counting for tooling, travel, anything else that's kind of gone along or been required. Here we go. When does Project Phoenix start? There he is. We got him. We found him. Should be announcing something in the next 30 to 45 days. I have started some of the modeling on the side, some of the planning, looking at what parts from what vehicles we could potentially use, how we could make it 400 horsepower instead of the fairly low numbers of the current Octane platform. There's a lot to consider before getting started. Need to change that before truly kicking it off. I don't have a question, just want to thank you for your time, dedication to bring something so cool to life. Man, hope to see it at LAN one day. Appreciate it, brother. Actually, it's 2026. I can't say that. I have no idea this person's gender. We're just going to say appreciate it. How about that? If you're going to Texas, we will be in town for the World Championship. So there will definitely be some opportunities for anyone to get a picture, see the car there. Oh gosh. Not my history. Let's not do that. Let's. What hotkey did we hit there? If any of you on the West Coast, are we typing? No, we're not. For anyone on the West Coast, the car actually is at the Peterson Automotive Museum in LA currently for the next 2 months. So if you're someone who hasn't had a chance to see it on the East Coast or Texas before, that's definitely an opportunity if you're not going to make it to Texas again this year. Oh, most favorite, least favorite part. Knight, you don't have to be on Reddit to ask a question. I'm definitely kind of looking at chat here on the side, kind of in between. Will I ever do Project Confidential third wheel test? Ah, yes. The Reliant Robin style version of the Octane. I thought about it. Structurally, I can't accomplish it with this build. It would be right where your feet are for the gas and brake pedal. It just wouldn't work, and just like the Reliant Robin coming down a small alley. It's just gonna tumble and roll into a wall. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen, but I do think that is a hilarious mod that they break out for April Fools. Let's see. All right. Our actual favorite and least favorite part of the build process. Oh, man. I would say the least favorite is that when you don't know exactly how every part of the car is going to look from a detailed design perspective, then when you're doing things one by one, you kind of have a like stack up of errors. Christ, errors. What? History again. Goddamn. Wrong hotkey. Or just decisions in general that will continue to make your life more difficult. Oh my gosh. Or decisions in general that will just continue to compound and make the next part of the build more difficult. I think if I did another build, as we're kind of talking about a Fennec, that I would want to take enough time up front to truly lay out everything the way in detail, so that we don't kind of have a back and forth. When you've cut the same tabs off the chassis 3 times to make the rear axle work correctly, that can just be infuriating. So really just trying to get it right the first time. The best moment is kind of difficult. I feel like with this project in general, the stress that kind of plays into it when you're trying to meet certain deadlines or an event, a lot of like the good moments can like pass you by very quickly. Maybe that's just true about life in general. And so I try. My memory is just terrible in general. But I would say having the initial front bodywork on the car in Texas and I don't know about that one. Favorite moment. I'm trying to think, the car running for the first time. Nah. I know if Ryan and Amith, they would be telling me about how the least favorite would be every drive to every land as I make them sweat it out in the truck with me for 20 hours with limited AC. That would be their answer. I'm gonna go with actually driving it for the first time, even though it didn't have any bodywork on it. It was just a very rewarding feeling to know that I did have a driving vehicle. And from that point, it was really just the fine details. Let's go with that. How many seats would the Fennec have? I think it's going to be a 2-door, 2-seat. The back end, excuse me, of the Fennec is a lot more compressed. Like, that's if you look at, say, the Lancia or one of those 80s style rally cars and how the Fennec is similar to them. It's basically take the driver door, pop it off right there. That's where your rear wheels are. Forget the back seat. And so I think that's what we would do. As far as being bigger, it would be slightly bigger footprint, definitely a bigger interior. The Octane honestly is a full 6 feet wide as well. It's got the full footprint as a normal car. It's a little bit not as long, but it's just as wide. Doing the Fennec in the same width as the width of a normal road car, it does have a lot more volume. And I'll tell you what, maybe after the AMA, what I'll do is I'll pull up SolidWorks and I'll show y'all some of the models of the Fennec so far. It's not only the detailed design, just the body. And I think I might have something with the Octane overlaid with it so we could actually see. But it is surprisingly more space, even though it's the same scale. All right, so this is, have we ever run out of boost while driving it? We have run out of gas, yes. I also ran out of coolant as I was overheating the motor during one of the drive days. And that was the end of that day. I look back in the footage and the back of the Octane was just smoking. I'll have to put out a short or something showing that. That was the first real time it drove. So I was a little hesitant to just put that front page on the YouTube and be like, oh yeah, this guy doesn't actually know what he's doing after all. But it happens to the best of us. Oh, come on, Sledge. Why would you build an Octane when the visual and physically superior Venom was an option? Ugh, this isn't even a question, Sledge. Come on. I mean, is it really the best decision? What do you mean by that? Can you expand on that a little bit? Which decision? Sorry. Will the Octane ever jump? Honestly, no. Like, they have some of those Chinese cars now that do jump, kind of. Body just kind of goes up and down a bit. I don't think they actually have wheel clearance. Like, it takes a lot of force to get that much weight off the ground. And that is just not something is factored into our current build. And there's already so many engineering challenges. It's like adding one more, like, it's just not the focus. You know, maybe if I had unlimited time and limited money, would I look at that? Yes. Unexpected complications during the build. I think there's hurdles at every step. Oh, I can't pick up step. Even when we had just the frame and we welded kind of our suspension hard points together, my design didn't really account or allow for any warpage. And anytime you're welding anything, it happens no matter what. Your welder can control that to an extent, but you can't avoid it altogether. And so after we welded the initial front part of the frame, I gotta break that into a sentence. Nothing fit back together. And so I was sitting there with an angle grinder, manually clearancing parts. which is just fun, as you can imagine. My design for bracing the rear axle was something that was one of those 2 or 3 times over issues. Take that out. Where I was bracing it for a, I guess, torsional load and not like the axial thrust load that the chain would be applying to the engine would be applying to the chain. Oh, Christ. Gotta do everything here. But I think that's to be expected with any project, really, until you've done something a couple times over and really ironed out every little thing. And there's a million lessons that I've learned along the way that would definitely go towards the next project. Oh, people are going to hate some of these. I don't know how well this text to voice to text is working, but y'all let me know if it looks bad on y'all's end. You could probably get the horse dash. Yes, you're probably right about that. I'm going to need a little bit more horsepower, but we could definitely do a horse dash afterwards. If the Fennec really is 450 horsepower, then yes. Doing well. Is it Cato? Hope you are as well. Gotta go sleep. It's getting late. You in the UK? Or Middle East there, I mean. Thanks for dropping by stream. Appreciate you participating. It will be soon. There's a little bit more paperwork I gotta do. Yeah, get it, Srila. Forgot to read the question. Whoops. For this boat, at least, it's going to be registered as a modified utility vehicle. So not a full-blown street legal car. It's a less stringent requirement. Really just mirrors, turn signals, brake lights. And with that, it can go on any public road under 55 miles an hour. In North Carolina. I will say that I kind of mentioned one of the other comments. Don't want to duplicate everything here. Did learn a lot about the process, though, that you normally don't when you buy a vehicle. And in the future, I would definitely jump through some of the extra hoops to making it fully street legal. How much does it cost and how hard is it to transport the car to land? Parts and materials was pretty much $30,000. If you add in all of the special tools and equipment you need as well, another several $1,000s. Transportation is not cheap either. Luckily, I've got a really old truck that's still capable and some friends with an open trailer. So any East Coast or Central event like Texas, You will see me usually driving the Octane on an open trailer 2 or 3 days before the event. There's definitely some funny posts that have been made out there, or people driving by waving or hitting their brakes, coming back and taking photos. It is fun to see the reactions on the road. Psyonix has not paid for it to actually be at an event. They have been helpful in allowing us to post up outside certain arenas or coordinating with arena staff to enable us to show it off. And I think we are having some ongoing discussions for what the World Championship this year could look like. What is this road? Psyonix. I can't spell either. I'm a terrible speller. All right, I feel bad. I shouldn't. Come on, Sledge. You already know the answer to this one. Oh, fuck me. You already know. Now I'm like scared that like it's just misspelling everything for me. Like I can't, I'm not going to take the time to just absolutely double check punctuation or wording here, or else this would just be, it would take way too long. I'd be saying it and then also typing it all back out. But that one was pretty obvious. I do have a degree in mechanical engineering, and I work full-time as a mechanical design engineer. In college, I also did some automotive-related junior, senior design projects that really gave me the footing that I needed to start the Octane, or at least kind of the minimum level of skill to get myself in trouble with it. But when you make a lot of friends, either in college or, you know, in the workplace, it helps a lot having a lot of people that you can bounce a lot of ideas off of. So I can't claim all of the engineering design myself necessarily. Even if I was doing all of the CAD work. Let me read the question. What engine's in it? Some of y'all know this already. 600cc bike engine. However, I do have a Suzuki Hayabusa in the garage. That was always the plan to put in the Octane. That's going to be going in later this summer. The 600 was a bike. Was from a bike that a friend of a friend was looking to get rid of, and the timing just kind of worked well in my favor to try and prototype the car actually moving under its own power. And unfortunately, I haven't upgraded it as soon as I have wanted to, mainly from focusing on completing a lot of the bodywork. I think Dominic's answer here is pretty accurate. With the new motor, I do think it can be quicker than that. But we're going to have to take it to the track and really find out. The Hayabusa's got, it's what, 180 horsepower? Really, it's the 120 foot-pounds of torque that's going to be a big difference for getting off the line. 0 to 60 with the 600cc engine is not the greatest. I'll admit that. I don't think we're talking a 4-second car, even with the new motor. But I could see something around 8. That being said, at least for this project, I don't think we ever looked at it through the lens of being a performance vehicle. It was more so just make a car. But I think that is a consideration for any future build, is to make sure that it is it's something that you could actually track. I already answered that once. We're going to skip that for a moment. Let's make sure we keep you Bumper the Clown away from this thing. Oh, gosh. What's a good quick chat to trying to get away from a demo? I'm trying to think. I feel like people just normally just spam thanks. If someone commissioned me to build another one, how much would you charge? I think if you got a quote from a SEMA builder or someone else that does custom car builds, it would probably be in the range of 60K to 250K, which is a crazy number. But truthfully, when you start counting for people's labor, it gets up there quick. I don't know exactly how a production version of things would look in my mind. I feel like it could be less than that number. Let me say that range. Really, it's a question of how much does it cost to get fiberglass molds made? And how much do you have to outsource? A lot of what I haven't had to spend is because I had the skills or the resources to not pay that professional rate to get something done. So I don't know exactly what that number is, because I know I wouldn't have been able to spend it myself. Would I love to do this full time? I mean, yeah, I think it'd be great to just be a sole source manufacturer of Rocket League cars. But there's a large kind of capital that kind of has to go with that. And it's really not from one individual order. It would be from you're making a minimum a dozen of these. There's also the licensing side of things, you know, when you're actually talking about Yeah, I mean, Epic Games owns the intellectual property and the branding and all that. You can't necessarily just make a production level these and start selling to people. I'm lucky to kind of get away with what I've done so far and been in their good graces. We're okay on here. Make sure we're not buying octanes for $60. The great thing about it is we can keep on wrapping it, different designs, different colors for different events. So who knows, maybe it will be titanium white one day. Just need the right design or event to pop up. Does it drive sound more like a normal car or a cart? Does it drive / sound more like a normal car or a cart? I would say it sounds like a motorcycle that had its exhaust cut off. It's a little bit rattly and it's pretty loud. With an exhaust, it does sound like a normal small 4-cylinder engine. I know a lot of people make comparisons to it being a kart, but I actually don't know the answer to this. I think that go-karts, I don't know if they have a 4-stroke engine. Usually they're single cylinder. I don't know if they're 2 or 4 strokes. Honestly, it's been a long time since I've driven a go-kart. Yeah. My workplace did do a Halloween competition, I guess. And my workplace, come on, Windows, gotta help me out here. And I did not bring the octane. I think I could have for that. But at the same time, it's a little weird sometimes to just outright tell people that you spend all of your spare time making a car from a video game. I feel like it's really similar probably to how actual pro players feel when they tell someone on a date, like, yeah, I play Rocket League for a living. In a way, that's kind of what it's become for me. Luckily, I married my wife. Actually, I didn't. I started Project Octane before I was married, so I did have to explain that a little bit. But she's been along for the entire road, the whole process. So it's been a thing since we were dating, at least. I do think I will one day, when the information's already out there and you can't really hide your personal life that well anymore. But for the most part, I try not make it every moment of my normal day, at least. What were some of the more interesting issues you ran through the car, both from the motor / inner working standpoint, but also from how the design of the chassis in regards to size and proportions? I think the chassis question is easier for me to answer here, because once we had kind of looked at what other vehicles were out there that we could potentially base it off and realize there was nothing, it made it a pretty clear answer that it was going to have to be a custom space frame. From there, you're looking at, okay, how do I get in and out of this thing? At one point, we were talking about having the whole roof lift off, like something you would see on an X-Wing. And then we kind of got a little bit more realistic with it. X-Wing, come on now. And you have to account for a normal door. I don't know, there's a lot of little things. In a way, you're free to make your own decisions, but also make your own mistakes. The seating position is very reclined and very forward. And that was a result of trying to have more ground clearance and using a beefier suspension. So it's a lot more awkward of a driving experience if you've never been in something like an open wheel race car. What else was odd? What did have troubles with chassis? From the motor standpoint, things were relatively straightforward in that I knew I had where I had to mount it and that it was chain driven to a rear axle. I have looked at how everything would be packaged if I was actually using a real car platform, engine and transmission. And at that point, you do have to start doing a lot of funky designs in order to still fit proportionally within the space of the Octane. There's a reason why when you look at the subframe on a car, it's all formed sheet metal in a not very linear way. I think using the motorcycle engine at least enabled us to keep things a little bit more straightforward and kind of box some of the frame together. There is an option for a Gen 2 Octane that uses a real engine and transmission. That's also something that would make the get it road legal part of things a lot easier when you have something that, let me back up there. A motorcycle engine doesn't have a VIN on it. So when I try and get it street legal, they can't use that VIN to register it as that car. The fact that it came from a motorcycle having two wheels also kind of makes that decision for you. But if you have, I don't know, an LS engine that came out of a Corvette and it has a VIN on it, then actually it doesn't matter kind of what frame you put it in. You could actually get it retitled as a basically reconstructed vehicle as a Corvette, and you could pay the insurance as a Corvette, and all your paperwork will reflect that as well. And it saves you from doing a lot of the paperwork or restrictions that I've had to do in trying to get the Octane street legal. Also, it means you actually have a legitimate amount of work and horsepower to actually make it a fun vehicle to drive. a little bit more so than what I've done so far. So I've done a lot of research and kind of what a Gen 2 Octane would look like. That also is all played into what that kind of Project Fennec looks like. Let's see. Oh, lost my fun interaction. Let's see. Like I said, there's been a lot of cases where we've been going down the highway to an actual event and someone slams on their brakes and takes a picture and then drives by giving us a thumbs up, and that's a really cool moment. But I'm gonna say, lost my, where's my voice to text? Oh Christ, 1 second. Or was it Windows H? Ah, there we go. I'm dumb. Well, let me not respond to that. Hitting the wrong key. There was also a moment at a stoplight where we had a random guy like get out of his car. I had a guy in a Buc-ee's parking lot offer me $1,000 to take it off my hands right then and there. I did not take him up. I should actually say this part. I did not take him up on that offer. I do think it's a lot of fun at LANs. We usually hang out with the car in case people have questions or want to talk through, you know, some of the details with folks. But a lot of people don't necessarily realize that it's just a DIY project. It's kind of cool when they think it's something more legit that the actual tournament organizers or someone that is much more capable than us came up with. And so it's a fun interaction to be like, yeah, I'm just a guy that does this in my garage on weekends. It catches a lot of people by surprise. Let's make sure we get our Buc-ee's branding right. You know, we can't. Buc-ee's is 2 C's, I'm pretty sure. There was another time where we were at a, we know chat doesn't like spell Genji, event in Fort Worth last go around, where we had the Octane out front of a theater and a car with like 4 guys just going down the street were all hanging out their window yelling, "Is that an Octane?" Are we going back to Fort Worth? You bet we are. Oh, how about now? Have I been talking this entire time? Oh, Cinder, thank you. God knows when I press that button. Oh well. It's been making it into the Reddit at least. But... oh, Knight, you said it as well. Hopefully it was just for a minute there. Cool. Alright, sorry about that. I was probably fumbling around with my hotkeys here earlier. Well, now I gotta repeat all that, right? Like, why would you buy the Octane from a dealership when a Chrysler Pacifica's right there? Like, the easy choice. Octane, Chrysler, come on. It's definitely the Chrysler. I haven't built any... Let me put this in the message there. I have not built any toppers for it yet. But we did run into a kid at Boston who had a alpha cap that we took a picture with on the Octane. It was just really cool. Maybe one day we've got to get the big foam hat. Or something else. Let's see. Alpha cap. I think at one point someone mentioned the pigeon topper. It was probably the guy that has like 40,000 of those in game. So I don't know how credible it is, but the way I see it is if anyone wants to make a real size pigeon topper, then they can put it on the real size Octane at any event. I'm all for it. Biggest unexpected challenge with the project and what did I do to overcome it? I really struggled using the game model and making the body work at first. Initially, I was like, okay, let me just remodel the whole car to the best of my CAD abilities. And I was just never happy with it. It probably would have been unnoticeable. It might have even been a better look. But it wasn't accurate enough for what I wanted. And so I went back to just use the outright game mesh. And the hard part about that in a solid modeling program I'm trying to think of a way to answer this without getting super technical here. It just creates a ton of headaches. For example, you try and thicken something, but it's... I'm gonna get way too deep into some of these things. I ended up going back to the game mesh and physically copying and stitching together every single triangle in order to eventually get a solid body. And it took me a heck of a lot longer than I ever feel like it should have. It is Cinder. I miss Kylo coming here. Kylo, come here, buddy. Of course now, this dog will never not just... Oh, here we go. Hi there. Yes. Yes. You want to come up? You want to come up? Yes, there we go. That's a good boy. Yes, you want to answer the next question? Yeah, you can answer the next question. All right. Good boy. Good boy. We're almost there. We're almost there. We're working through it. We'll go UT here in just a minute, all right? Where were we? Hello, Ninu? Let's hope that's right. What happened to the project? It's on display in LA right now. You can go see it at the Peterson Automotive Museum for the next 2 months. And then it'll be back in my garage to put some final touches on it for Fort Worth. And we should have a final complete project for Worlds this year. Back on the question side of things here on the subreddit, I would say, so I really had to kind of brute force a solution. But at the same time, I've also since learned other methods that I think would make the next build something where I could overcome a lot of the technical challenges that come with using mesh. Let's see, that answer actually makes sense here. Ninu, cool. Thank you. Appreciate it. Why chat box to delay? Oh my gosh, you are right. That is terrible. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. Did it hide delay or just chat delay? Chat delay is set at 0. And now we lost it altogether. Okay. Do me a favor, send a message, try it, and see if it pops up any quicker. Try to make it. It's on 0 delay on Streamlabs. I don't know what would possibly be causing it to be less than that. Put any skin, animated even, on your car from the game. Which one would it be? Alright, no, it shouldn't. Oh, you know what? I am cropping. Oh. Oop, hang on. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, you're right. I am, as you can tell, I'm not much of a streamer. I don't do this frequently. This is like the second one in the last 6 months. And you're right. I wasn't hiding it with my picture, but I had cropped it to fit above the picture. And so it was still displaying in the cropped out parts, even though it was only showing the box above. The more you know. Any skin, animated or not, what would it be? Man. I'm trying to think about some of my current... A lot of people ask for 20XX. But I wouldn't call that my style. Racing lines is a little too clean and a little too easy. But that's the first thing that came to mind. Truthfully, one of the things we've talked about was creating our own skin kind of represent the project. and we've talked to some of the guys that do the renders for actual esports orgs. I'm gonna spell out Ival because it's gonna get wrong. Who makes a lot of like F1 branded liveries. One branded liveries that I love the look of. And being like a big Red Bull Racing fan, to me, if we could put the full Red Bull livery on the car and do an event with them, I think that would be something really cool. Oh, gosh, get back to that one. Hardest part of the build process. Everything takes a lot longer and costs a lot more money than you expect. It is so easy to burn through time and money. Hate that excuse. But I really feel it's the most accurate. There were definitely a lot of good moments of hanging out with my former roommates or college friends that I don't live anywhere near anymore. You know, I'm talking 6 hours minimum to opposite coast. And so when you get together and you're in a junkyard wrenching underneath a car together, singing Bon Jovi because we were halfway there, it's a really fun time and a lot of good memories from hanging out with the boys doing this. And my Linus Tech tips in disguise. Every time I hear this comment, it reminds me that I need a haircut and a shave. You know, I would say the body was the hardest. Engine and transmissions honestly aren't that complicated if you have something that's working, where you don't actually have to complete teardown and figure out why a motor failed, or failure is the wrong word there, because if it's got a hole blown through the side of it, you threw a rod, like, okay, you kind of know how it failed. Troubleshooting, but I've always been a fan of taking something that I have known works and being able to put it in the car. It makes things a lot easier. As far as body or chassis, still body. Chassis was something I had experience in and knew what I was doing for that part of it, so I could get by. That was the answer for chassis. For body, I've done some carbon fiber work before. I've done a tiny bit of fiberglass work before. Making molds is a process, and that's why I kind of copped out and ended up 3D printing everything. In the future, I would go the full mold process, but you need a lot of help there unless you're a fiberglass or carbon fiber technician who does things regularly. It's, I don't know, maybe I'm hyping it for more than it is, but to me, that's the hard part. All right, I know we kind of answered this question a little bit earlier. Dookie happens to be comes from the Green Day album, and my initials are MD. Are Maryland? Are come on now. It's gonna auto populate MD into Maryland? Christ. Reality aside, what decal would you put on the Project Octane if you could? It's kind of forcing me to choose an animated decal here. Some long initials, yep. What is... Someone's gotta help me out here. What's the decal that, it's like tornado or something? Or like an eye, an expanding eye. I forget what the name of that decal is. That was definitely one of my favorites. Do I think I could drive it at racing event for opening? I do have a Lemons endurance car with some friends on the side. And we have talked about either entering it into a race or at the very least seeing if we could get it to be a pace car for the rolling laps ahead of an event. So maybe. I would also, to be able to love... Bleh. Let's try that again. I would also love to drive it for some actual Rocket League event footage. Last time in Fort Worth, I remember they had a segment where I think Wave Punk was in a go-kart pushing a soccer ball around. We were there with the Octane. Why not us? I think it would be a great collaboration. Let's see, is it legally drivable on an everyday basis? How come? It is currently not fully street legal. It is in the process of being registered as a modified utility vehicle, which is more so for country roads and not highway, but it can still get you A to B locally. A lot of that is based on it not using an existing automotive chassis or body. If you went through the process of adapting an actual street legal car to look like an Octane, it does enable you to actually go that full street legal route. Really, even just having an engine and transmission from a street legal vehicle. I shouldn't say that's not sound advice, because that's not exactly what I've learned, but it's a stepping stone. We'll leave it at using the body side of things. Oh gosh, where was that typo? Oh gosh, Nino, you gotta give me some context here. Where the hell did I say that? This is good. I'm enjoying this so far, but if there's like some awful typos in here, I'm gonna feel really bad. It is majestic. The foot. Oh gosh. All right, let's see. Oh gosh, foot. What are they even saying there? Event. Let's just go this last time in Fort Worth. There we go. That's definitely what I was trying to say. I slapped something on the roof. Yes. Provided it's an in-game Rocket League item. Make what you want, bring it to LAN. Source the control arms. the front of the Octane is the front of a 2007 Ford Explorer. The rear of the Octane is the front of a four-wheel drive Ford Expedition. Why am I saying Expedition? It's an F-150. I own the F-150 that it was based off of. Where do these words come from sometimes? Would not recommend, truthfully. It was more of a geometry-based decision for how narrow the body of the Octane was. I needed longer control arms than what a normal commuter car has. However, through the 5 years of this thing, there's definitely some other workarounds I've come across. The C5, C6 Corvette platform is a great platform to build around. And I would definitely go with something like that being a lot lighter. I could probably cut out about 200 pounds of weight just from that alone, which is crazy. For 1,700 pounds, 200 of it is excess suspension weight. Can he order one through Klarna? I don't know what that is. But maybe if we get a list of potential Octane owners together and we can put a dozen on order to make it make sense, making real body molds and all of that, then I can see a world in which that could happen. When are you making Project Fennec? Can I have it? Let's just do this. I know it's an AMA, so I'm trying to give a lot of like detailed response if I can, like rambling more than I feel like I ramble a lot anyways. So who am I kidding? But can you have it? No. What rank am I? I peaked GC1 in free-to-play season 5. And I kind of bounced around that C2 up to GC1 level for the next 5 seasons. But since then, I've dropped off pretty hard. I had a great ranked play session yesterday where I now find myself in C1. Good times. Highs, good times. Is it street legal? I know we've touched on this a couple times, guys, so I apologize if I am repeating myself, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Almost street legal. Street legal as a modified UTV, not a full-blown vehicle. I would have to do a couple things different in the build, I think, to go the full route. But at the same time, it depends on each state's rules and regulations. For this first time, going the UTV route meant I only needed mirrors, turn signals, brake lights, and headlights. So, baby steps. When am I making the Fennec? Already started some of the conceptual design. Probably another 30 to 45 days before we announce a launch. I'd like to figure out a couple more details for how we're actually going to execute it. I know financially it's not something I can support on my own. Do it, Flip. Can you show me one other car that flip? Yeah, that was me who donated, Elo. I'm super excited to see how far the project has come. You've really made that dream come alive, and I know I'm glad to see it. I saw the project 4 years ago, and I just knew I had to donate because I could tell you'd see the project through. This ought to be the very top. Let me actually get back to this. Let's give it, I want to do it justice. But I know, let's see. I do use Octane primarily in-game. I feel obligated to now. When I started the project, I was using Fennec actually. I'd switched over from the Octane, but as soon as I started the Project Octane, I was like, I can't take myself seriously if I'm not. So I've been back on Octane the whole time. You think, Nino, that it'll be that huge? I think it could be. I don't know. It's tough, you know. It takes a lot of people, it's all about how much exposure it gets, truthfully. It'd be a lot easier to launch with a backer like Epic Games or someone else who's willing to kind of shell out 10 to 15K to get it off the ground, truthfully. From there, things can kind of, I feel like, be self-sustaining, potentially with some of the other crowdfunding options out there. Part of it is I don't make enough content on a regular schedule to truly capitalize on monetization, and projects take a long time, so the progress from one step to another is really small, and so a lot of people just want to see it done. They don't like, the people that are here, you know, seem to actually care about the build a little bit and about what it takes to get there. Same with the people that are commenting here on Reddit, but the vast majority of the player base don't. Truthfully, I mean, they care that, oh, it's a cool looking thing. That's the thing that goes viral. The build process, it's difficult. You know, if you make really solid content, there's plenty of channels out there that can do automotive build platforms. Doing it part-time, not as a full-time job, not with a full production setup, and that's something that takes a lot of money to kind of start doing legitimately. It's tough. All right. Kronos Devoured here is an absolute Chad. This guy donated $5,000 when this project started. I don't know, Kronos, what you do for a living, but I would like to personally say thank you again, because I don't know if we would be here without your support and the support that we got kicking this thing off. I mean, again, 5,000 to some people, it's not a lot of money. To others, that's a heck of a lot of money. I hope that it's taken a long time to get to this point, but I hope it was worth your while in the end. If you're ever at a LAN, you know, don't hesitate to come talk to me if you haven't already. I feel like we can make a special exception for, you know, folks driving the car. If you're as big a daddy, truthfully is the word, as you are. That seems wrong, huh? Let's go with that. There we go. Smart investor. Was that the end of the initial comments? We probably have a couple other that have filtered in here. Let me go through and see. Dominus next. Scarab. Oh, Scarab's tough. This is regarding Project Fennec. I think it'll be a lot more legitimate of a car. Or at least I hope.
No matter where you're from, all around the world, it's one unique, one special vibe.
I went muted again, huh? There's some hotkey or something in Streamlabs that is causing that. 'Cause that's the second time it's happened when I've like alt tabbed or something. That being said, I do think there's a world where a common chassis for a Fennec could end up helping produce a Dominus, not Dominoes. Ready. Let's check my presets in game here real quick. We're looking for I'm so basic in my car designs. Ooh, caution waves is one I used to really rock. That's my answer right there. Caution waves. We have had some discussions about what an animated decal might look like or how it could actually be done. I think it was Lexus at one point who put 40,000 LEDs on a car. And that's one way, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as detailed as like an LED screen because the LEDs are just simply so much larger. It would just be pixelated. As the strip LEDs really is what they were. The idea has been floated to wrap the car fully white and use projection lighting to do something like that. Looking into it a little bit more and have to go from there. What would you say is the closest car shape and design looking alike to the Fennec? Definitely the Lancia Delta Integrale. Let me see if I can... Let me bring it up separately on screen here. Let's do that. Bear with me one moment. Lancia Delta. All right. Oh, just my screen's a little bit messed up the way I was cropping for Reddit, but yeah, hopefully you can see from this. Yeah, that's a Fennec. What you got to do is take this, I guess your B pillar behind the door here. Shorten it up a little bit. Bring that wheel about a foot and a half forward. Slope this off just a little bit earlier and at a little bit steeper angle. And there you go. To be honest, yes, needed a Golf GTI, like the Mach 1, Mach 2 Golf GTIs are also definitely, I think probably the inspiration for the devs actually making the Fennec model. I would love to sit down one day with one of the actual Epic employees or Psyonix, employees and say, talk through some of the real life design inspiration that went into different vehicles. I think you would hear that answer from them, truthfully, on the Fennec. This car, yeah, look, it even has the price number right there. There's a company, these are so rare because they were rally world championship winning vehicles. They became iconic afterwards, and they become collector items. And yeah, if you go onto any of like the classic car like trading sites or anything like that, there's like maybe one per year available, and it's 350k, 500k. It would be easier to do that instead of start from zero, but to get again a restored one of these at 350k, yeah, crazy. And to think that not only that, but you still have to do a body kit or modify to that, and it's still making like 80 horsepower. It's gonna be slower than the Octane currently is. Like, I get enough crap from people about that. Like, could you imagine spending that much money and it not being something that you could actually whip? Maybe on these 350k ones they rebuild them with an LS or something. I should hope at least a modern 4-cylinder that's gonna give them 200 horsepower, but I could be wrong. I don't know enough. See, I'll probably do another once through here, at least for the Reddit side of things. But then I told some of y'all that I'd bring up at least some of what the Fennec's kind of looking like, at least give you a sneak peek as a thank y'all for coming in and hanging out and commenting and engaging. Give you a little something that you can take home with you, be ahead of everyone else. But let's see. Cinder, appreciate you sharing the link. I didn't actually see that before. I skipped over the pinned comment, but thank you. Lambo Huracan at that point, I agree. Absolutely. If you're going to spend that much money, get you something that's one of a kind, that is a luxury vehicle that is 100% capable and will hold its value. Not that the Lancia won't hold its value, but a Lamborghini is going to be a better investment, yes. Man, someone should have told me not to talk so much. Dear God, that answer. God, here's where the punctuation really would have freaking helped. It's a terrible run-on sentence. That was me. Yep. Oh, let's see. Oh boy, Sledge. I haven't seen a lot of his content as of late. I don't know how much he puts out still, but he was always, I enjoyed his videos. He always had Woody on there too, just demoing the heck out of everyone. Classic. All right, well, I'll leave before we kind of close out the AMA completely, I will at least bring the Fennec stuff in the meantime. Bear with me, y'all. I gotta launch. Oh, works real quick. Oh, nope. Edge wants me to use it as a default app. Ha, joke's on you. I'm not coming over Chrome. Good boy. I'll tell you what. While I am launching SolidWorks real quick, I'm going to go let the dogs go do their business. And by that time, there's one more comment at the bottom, I believe. Cool. I will get to that. I should also close out of Rocket League. Huge fan. If you could build a non-standard Rocket League car, what would you choose? So no Fennec, Domus Breakout, anything a lot of... Ooh. Okay. Actually, a great question. I should also say that in the comment. Hang on now. Actually, a great question, because before I started Project Octane, I was seriously considering doing my own GT40 build. There's a lot of guys out there that base them off of Corvettes, but with mid-engine conversions, almost like how the C8 is now. Conversions. And for me, that was like, oh, I could spend X amount of money and have what appears to be a hypercar. I don't really remember how far it got. Because I also knew that I wanted to do something a community could get behind and support. And not that that wouldn't be a cool build, but Rocket League's always been near and dear to me. And so that's actually what really drove me to, go the Octane route at that point. That is a fantastic question. All right, I'll see if any other pop up here in just a minute. We're launching SolidWorks in the background here. I will change the window over in just a second. Let's do this window capture. Almost there. Oh, put the wrong thing capture. There we go. How about now? I swear to you, I touched nothing. Nothing. This is cursed. I don't even know if that's the right mic now. I think it's the webcam. Let me check my own stream. Ah, okay. Well, now the wrong mic input is saying that it's this mic, and the right mic input is saying I'm still talking. If it's double audio, someone tell me, and I'll get that taken care of. I apologize. Streamlabs really doesn't like me. Let's see. There was one thing. it must be with changing that layout or just launching another program. Like when I launched Rocket League, it muted. When I launched SolidWorks, it double muted. But yeah, I'm just gonna, show y'all at least some of what I was been working on recently. This here, let me get rid of some of the lines, the sketches. Oh, I have to keep sketches to keep a picture. Okay. This here is the top view of what a normal Corvette looks like. And they actually have, I didn't actually know this until that recently. I'm not a huge car guy, believe it or not. Like, I can't tell you the specs of a 2JZ engine. Like, I know car words. I know a lot about how cars work, obviously. But I'm not necessarily the kind of guy that can recite specs from every automotive manufacturer back to them. I learn a lot from what I've actually physically done. But Corvettes actually, at least the prior generations before they went full mid-engine, actually have the engine up front, and then they have what they call a torque tube, which is where the transmission normally mounts on the back of a longitudinally mounted engine, all the way back to this point, at which point the transmission is in the rear, connected to the rear differential. And GM did that to try and get a better 50-50 weight distribution by moving the transmission, basically moving an extra 200 pounds from here back to here. The Corvette platform is like really solid to build around. The A-arms, you can actually see this upper. I actually have some physical models here. Nothing that's quite put completely together. Let me see if I can find. Nope, not my patio. I have modeled that as well. Doing some work. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to have to figure that out on the side. I do have a model of the Corvette suspension that we're looking at actually using with the Fennec. And it's just super convenient to build around. It's everything is, I'm just going to keep saying convenient. It's really easy to put tabs on a chassis and design around. The problem is the back of the Fennec here, where we're kind of talking about how that Lancia Delta got shortened, where we took that rear wheel from kind of a foot and a half back. It's now means that the transmission is pretty much at the driver's butt. And with how wide it is, and you have to build your framing around this, that's not really going to work, I don't think. So we are looking at using either a Mustang or a Camaro rear end to go back to a engine and transmission up front with a rear axle, independent rear suspension, not rear axle, independent rear suspension in the back. A couple other changes that kind of need to be made, looking at the Corvette side of things, is that the motor is really far forward. I can't quite have the cold air intake popping out the front of the Fennec here. But I'm showing the same sketch. I have to show some of these other options we have here. Let me hide this guy. This is just some of the like very upfront, things we're looking at. How's it going, Cato? How are you doing? Cato, let me know which one's right. This is again the Corvette, but instead of from up top, we're looking at it from the side. There's two versions of this. There's one where the engine is that really far forward poking out because we haven't collapsed the wheelbases here. This is the stock Corvette layout versus if we can shift it back a little bit more. Oh, wrong sketch. Then we can tuck the engine up pretty nicely. We just have to, again, when we bring all of this back end forward, that's where it's going to kind of hurt the passenger driver seat spacing a little bit. I don't stream daily. No, I stream once every 6 months at this rate. Maybe we'll do some more Fennec streams, especially as we try and actually work through some of the CAD. I'm not actually going to start modeling certain parts right now or today. Oh, there's a Corvette. Let's see what else we had in here. I promise I had the Mustang or Camaro. Here we go. This is better. This here is actually from a Fox Body Mustang conversion kit that a company makes. You can buy this thing for basically 20 something grand, which if I had a ton of money, maybe, and we'd start that as a base for the Fennec, but you'd have to still cut a good bit out to shorten it up. Kato, I am from North Carolina. Just hanging it out on the East Coast. But anyways, benefit here, you've got, again, your engine transmission. I believe they actually do sell this with an LS. But I'm looking at using possibly one of the V6 or V8 Mustang engines as well. But this all can be packaged super nicely up front. And it doesn't take a whole lot of work that when you move this guy up, I'm not concerned about the exhaust that's going to be underneath. But we're not going to have the same issues transmission-wise in the seating area, cabin area, as we do with the Corvette side of things. Ninu, I think it's confirmed that I'm going to work on the models for the Fennec. I don't know from a material standpoint when exactly that's going to happen, when the actual first parts would be bought. There would definitely be some reverse engineering that kind of has to happen with that before we could actually even complete the frame. I probably will have to get my hands on some parts first. What I'm really thinking about doing is let's take a year and just fully flush out the complete design of the build, have our chassis fully modeled, have all of our suspension fully modeled, everything integrated the way we think is, do all of our design for manufacture, do all of our bodywork molds, and just really be a lot more prepared for the end game than we were with the Octane, and then really start to actually buy parts. Kato from the UK, okay. I would say I would say Rocket League is my favorite game. it I don't know how many other games I could sink this many hours to and still be doing this, to be honest. It would really be, I feel like, odd if you're like, yeah, my favorite game's Valorant, but I'm gonna be building Rocket League cars. Solid. I I still have it. It's not physically on me right now. Uh, it's in Los Angeles on display at the Peterson Automotive Museum for the next 2 months. Uh, they actually wanted it there as kind of a display for to go alongside with the World Cup traffic that they were getting in LA. Uh, Caddy, you've been getting off some red flags. I'm not going to search anything for you. Sorry. Uh, so I should have the Octane back in 2 months, and that's when we're actually going to finish the rear end, put some of the final features on it to make it road legal that aren't in game, like mirrors, turn signals, and then we'll be going to the RLCS World Championship in Texas in September. Trade-in video for the minivan worried you, yeah. Seen you drive away with the Octane, wasn't sure exactly. Yep. That was just a skit that we all right, I should back it up because we have another video that's going to be coming out explaining where all that came from, because the short with buying the Pacifica was a side product actually of what we were really doing. What we're really doing was getting the car appraised as part of getting it street legal. We had to have, at least in North Carolina, we had to have a dealership appraisal done for the value of the vehicle in order for us to get what they call a title bond. It's a bit of an annoying process, but anyways, So we went to that particular dealership, got the appraisal done, and we were gonna get ready and leave, and we joked uh about it actually. One of the guys mentioned the Pacifica being added in game, and that's kind of, we just turned to the sales manager and we were like, hey man, can we get a picture with the Pacifica? And he's like, the dude was super chill, honestly, great guy. Riverside Automotive, New Bern, North Carolina, go check him out. He was like, yeah, we'll bring it around for you, take pictures, do whatever you want with it. And so we just did that complete skit, was not planned, just on the spot, messing around with the Pacifica. But then a week later, they come out with the Sierra, the 2500, they added in game. And I was like, all right, I guess now we got to trade it in for the Sierra. But not having the Octane on me right now kind of meant that we weren't actually going to be able to do any more skits, at least for the time being. We do have some other stuff recorded, though, that we're going to get out soon. Cinder, how does it usually work when a company or location wants the Octane at a specific spot? So far what's happened is it was already an event that we were going to. So we haven't necessarily had to plan on shipping it third party up until it went to LA. In the past, I would just trailer it myself on location. For the Peterson being in LA, that's a 40-some hour drive without accounting for a trailer. So they actually had a contracted enclosed transportation company come and pick up the Octane. And so that was like, they parked fairly close by to me. I drove the Octane to them, and they had a ramp that I drove the Octane onto the ramp, loaded it up, and they paid 100% for the transportation to the museum. So I didn't have to do that much of the logistics. I do probably need to get some quotes from that same company for how it would work if, Genji, who currently has it, wrapped with their decal, or Epic, want to pay to take it to a certain event. But I don't know. I'm not trying to like undercomplicate it, because it's not too bad, at least so far it seemed. It is a little like, nerve-wracking to, not nerve-wracking, but like you let go of something, that I've had in my garage nonstop, or been in like constant possession of. I didn't have any doubt that it wasn't going to come back in one piece or anything. But like, I remember seeing a video of the museum handling the car when they unloaded it at the Peterson. And there's some parts on there that are a little fragile, I'll admit. And I was like, oh no, don't put your hand there, kind of deal. But it's fine. Everything's fine. Did Genji sponsor the car or pay to put the decal on? So they sponsored the wrap. They previously also sponsored a wrap at the Raleigh Major, where we used their 2024 RLCS decal. That was, let me see here. Yeah, let me transition back. The wrap that's on it in this video here was the 2024 Genji decal. They sponsored to put it on at Raleigh, which was a couple months before this video actually came out. And we just kept it on the car since, because it was better than nothing, than the unpainted surface. Sorry, bear with me one moment. And we just kind of kept it on afterwards. Then we did put the tuxedo on it. That was actually at Epic Games' request. And so we did an event with them, and they paid for that decal. So I have 100% ownership of the vehicle itself. Now there's double audio. All for doing a scene transition. Let's try that again. So I'll go back to this guy for a moment. So I have received in-game decal files from both Genji and Epic Games before. A lot of those files, they're raster graphics, so they're pixel based. And unfortunately, anytime you're getting something vinyl wrapped printed, you have to convert it to a vector format. So I've actually had to convert it to I've had to pay some graphic artists actually to help convert it so we could actually get to the print format, which is a lot of work, to be honest. It's a lot of hours actually to be able to get the design where it should be. And I was not an Illustrator expert going into this either. That was like one of those skills where it's like not something you expect to have to need doing this. I will say, when we did the original Genji wrap, we did not. Your Rastars hate working vector. Yep. We did not originally. The first Genji logo, the black and gold one. Apologies. I know I keep messing up my display captures here. Let me see if I can actually get it. Let's try this. Not display capture. Let's window capture. Let's try this. I'll bring this back up on screen. Okay. Yeah. That Genji decal originally was raster based, and it showed. If you got really up close to it, it was pixelated, and that was not something I knew about until after I got it back from the wrap shop, which to me was a little bit unfortunate. But Genji was still happy with it, and it still looked great in photos, from 10 feet away. When we did the, let's see here, on the tuxedo, that we converted to vector, had a graphic artist convert it for me. And that was a huge help, and it came out really well. The current Genji wrap also is vector. There's definitely some limitations with Illustrator that you have that you don't have with like Photoshop, where just some of the effects were slightly off, but that was something we worked with Genji back and forth just a little bit, saying, hey, this is what I think we're going to look like, and they were still happy with it. So it's not 100% accurate, but happy with it. Ninu, appreciate you hanging out and chatting. Means a lot. I hope you had a good time. The issue I kind of have with Illustrator, coming from a CAD background, is everything in CAD is very defined. You can fully dimension lines and arcs and everything. You add dimensions to it and you fully constrain it. With vector, you kind of have the same like basis, but it doesn't have the same kind of controls. And so I just struggle to fully define things. So I'm working on actually making a real Rocket League ball currently, and wrapping a big plastic ball with the in-game texture. And so I took the picture into SolidWorks, and I'm recreating it there to then export to vector in Illustrator, because I can do it better in CAD than I can in Illustrator itself. That's just me. Was it hard to get Epic's attention? It was a little bit. We had reached out pretty early on in the build. I don't know if they took it seriously, to be honest, and I don't blame them. Like, if you have a random guy that's saying, I'm going to build an Octane, and you've looked at it and you're like, oh yeah, it's a pretty big task, we don't know if we could take it on, then why would this random dude be able to do it? And so I don't know if they gave it credibility at first. I think they were of the mindset of put something together and then let's talk after you have something that actually we can support. And I think we've done that now. We've proven ourselves, and they've kind of held up their end of the bargain, and they've been a lot more engaging as of late, especially. And I think we have some really good ideas for some future events with them. So it's kind of like you kind of got to get in the know first. At least that's been my experience so far. As far as I had the car fenced off. At most events, it hasn't been. Most events, people get right up and take pictures right with it. And I hear you on the conversion. I tried using AI to convert a vector or a raster to a vector. It was the worst thing I'd ever seen. It was terrible. Maybe it's just me not using AI correctly, but yeah, it was bad. Oh, yeah, definitely doing the complicated route. Sometimes it's like, is that me getting old where I don't want to do what the easy way is now, or what the kids are doing now, like, or is it just because I know if I brute force it a certain way that I can get it done? That's how I know how to get it done. I feel like I'm still willing to learn, but it's not easy. All good, man. So I'm rolling back through the Reddit one more time, see if there's anything else there. Okay, I'm not seeing anything else on the Reddit. Smarter, I don't know. He's got there's a lot from experience, man. There's a lot of smart people that don't do a lot. And as smart as they are, they don't necessarily understand the way the world works, I feel like. I've always tried to judge myself off of the actual experiences of what I can accomplish rather than just what I think I could accomplish. So take it for what you will. Hey man, I started building Lego cars, right? It's all gonna start somewhere. I'm gonna let's see here. We'll throw this transition back for just a minute. I'm just gonna pull something else up in Solid Edge just for anyone else who's interested. But I want a whole bunch of random files to pop up on the screen. So Todd, have you ever seen like the Top Gear episode where, or I don't know if you're a Top Gear fan at all. I'm a big Top Gear fan, and they have a rally team that was a whole bunch of, I think, Iraq war vets, British vets, that are, some of them were quadruple amputees, one of them's wheelchair bound, one's got a prosthetic, but how they kind of got together and working on vehicles and, still making do or making, I'm sure if you're still able to drive a vehicle, yeah, okay, you've seen this episode then. I like to think that, there's always still a way, I know it's not always, it depends on having the support group, and the right people to do something like that with, you certainly need help, but Chair Slayer the Drifter, nice. Is that the name of the guy on that episode, or is that a different creator?
No matter where you're from, all around the world.
Let's see.
It's one unique, one special vibe.
They won't let you help on their car and your car. They just do the work for you, and they won't let you help with your own car. Nice. I'll have to look that guy up. I can't say I've actually seen anything. Maybe I have actually seen it, but don't know it by name at least. Man, I had a model at one point where I had the Fennec and the Octane overlaid. I was really hoping to share, but that's just me being unprepared for today's purposes, at least. You know, I found maybe sometimes just asking questions, you know, will at least be a starting point for something like that, you know, because there's guys that they know what they're doing. They just want to do it. Like, it's easier for them. Like, even if they're your friend, like, it's just, that's just how it is. And, you know, I try and get sometimes a little more involved by just being like, okay, so, all right, we're pulling that because of this, or why do you have to pull that? And then, you know, you figure out what's special about that vehicle because of this. Even if it's just the explanation, you know. I don't know. That's at least some of the things on the race car that I have. One of the guys, he's a huge Honda guy. He knows everything there is to know about Hondas. All the weird things about how, oh yeah, we could put an 07, 08 ECU in this, and it does this, versus the 05, 06 we have does this, but locks out this feature. We could have Honda out of then to do this. And I'm just like, all right, take this back 2 steps. Like, you might be doing the work, but, you know, talk me through this a little bit, you know, and just learning that way. Well, that's good. You got the right mindset, at least. All right, we're gonna do one last through the AMA. Make sure nothing I missed, and then Cinder, we can call it a day on your end if you're good. I'm slightly driving myself crazy because the playlist that's on, it's usually the background music I use in a couple of YouTube videos, and it's all DCMA royalty free, or at least I pay for the program that has the license for it. It's like the 4th time through because I don't have a long enough playlist. If not more, it's more than 4 times through. It's every 20 minutes. Gotta work on that. But Solid, appreciate you stopping by stream, talking, asking questions. Wish you luck with your own projects, your own car, whether it's a project or whether it's just your car. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Cool. Alrighty. Ah, there you are. Not a problem, sir. I appreciate the invite from the subreddit. glad we could set this up. It means a lot. I don't do this frequently, hopping on in front of camera, so you know, I like to take a moment every now and then to try it out. But with that, with the AMA ending, I am going to close down stream here as well. Should be having some more content released very soon regarding Project Fennec and what that might be. Also have some announcements regarding some of the actual Octane work that's happening. So be on the lookout for that. In the meantime, if you're on the West Coast again, go to the Peterson, man. Go see it. Go enjoy it. But I appreciate everyone else. I'm with Ryan. If you're at the bar watching the U.S. game, you know, keeping me open in the background helps. But I hope you all have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you around.